What's up? This is Dr. Taylor Krick at the Washington Wellness Center, and this is our next video in our whiteboard series. So these are things that I commonly draw out for patients and clients when we're in our consultations. And today's video is about, just a common combo of symptoms that we often see. And so, when we draw this out, a lot of times people say, oh my gosh, that's me, or I'm the combo of these three, or they realize how these things kind of overlap and interact, and then they're not just all random, symptoms. So the combo is, first off, bloating. One of the most common symptoms we see. And so in this person, and I was thinking about this before I recorded this, we see a lot of guys. I just finished my last two people that were males. We see a lot of male kids. We see a lot of kids. We see a lot of grandmas. But our most common demographic is kind of the mom age. So maybe 25 to 55 is our most common demographic. Very common for autoimmunity. Very common for a lot of these symptoms that we're going to talk about, and they often overlap. So bloating being a very common one, very, very common. And it's just, it's distension, it's gas buildup, and there's a lot of different causes to that. We've got a variety of other videos about that, but that's really common. The second one is poor blood sugar control. So what that looks like, sometimes it's more insulin resistance and inability to lose weight, or maybe even something like PCOS or high testosterone or some facial hair development, hirsutism, things like that. But what we see more often is like blood sugar dips and hypoglycemia, and women especially that have blood sugar maybe spikes and then dip, or they need to eat very often, or they're grazing throughout the day. And with all these circles, there's some overlap. Like the overlap between the two of these is that, let's say you get blood sugar dips and you eat often and you graze often and you snack often to avoid those blood sugar dips, but because of that, your what's called migrating motor complex is never able to do what's called a clean sweep through your digestive tract. And because of that, you now have some bacterial or fungal overgrowth that's causing some bloating. I don't know, but that's certainly a possibility. But blood sugar control, really, really important, and something that we've got to get stabilized, and other metabolic issues that are involved with blood sugar control. So a lot of times also, this person is the person who's maybe like CrossFitting or doing some kind of legit hardcore exercise and not able to lose weight, has 15 to 40 pounds that they want to lose, even though they're pretty consistent gym person, they eat pretty clean in their opinion, but they're not sure why they can't lose this last 15, 20, 25 pounds. That's very common too. But blood sugar imbalances. The next one is some combo of like fatigue and anxiety. I put those into the same category. But just very, very common, anxiety and bouts of unexplained anxiety, and different symptoms of fatigue, maybe a hard time getting going in the morning, maybe low motivation, maybe a little bit of an afternoon slump, but those are really common. And then hormonal imbalances. So sometimes that's, cyclical, like, PMS or cramping or irregular cycles. But also different things throughout the day, like adrenal hormones or thyroid hormones as well, or just general like pituitary stuff. We see hormonal imbalances, of course, all the time. So there are some other questions that have to be answered, like, for example, are they anemic at all? And if so, why? Are they low in stomach acid? Could be contributing to the bloating, could also be contributing to anemia, but it's going to make you tired. It's going to slow everything down metabolically. So that's a really important thing. How about this one? And let's write, how's their liver and gallbladder functioning? The most common demographic for gallbladder problems are Caucasian women in middle age of 30s and 40s. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen in men all the time, that it doesn't happen in women of other colors all the time, but that is the most common demographic, and it also happens to be the demographic that we're kind of talking about right now. So how's their liver and gallbladder along with their digestion? That's a really important thing. I mentioned it with hormones, but like how's their thyroid functioning? That's going to slow down everything. Going back to liver, how's their methylation? How's their usage of B vitamins? All these things are really important questions that I could go on and on about. But most of the people that we see fall somewhere here. So some of them might fall just between two symptoms. Some of them might fall where three overlap. Some of them might be, in the middle with a little bit of everything. And so clinically, what we have to do, and also, some people will call in and they'll be like, I just have this anxiety. Like, do you think you can help? And we're like, yeah. And then they come in and they have all of these things. So don't be that person. Realize that you have, multiple things, and we have to address them all in a certain order, and they're all different priorities. And you can't fix one without the other. So it's often, the problem is bigger than what you might call in for like just your anxiety or just your bloating. And you also have hypothyroid, and your mom has celiac, and you also have this, that, and the other. But what we have to do is we have to prioritize these things, and we have to knock down the dominoes in the correct order. If we knock down the dominoes in the right order, then we can get a ripple effect and get some momentum towards your healing. But all these things often overlap in a really weird and really hard way to figure out on your own. So that's exactly what we help people do, is help put these pieces of their health puzzle together and figure out how these things fit together, figure out which thing we've got to correct first in which order, but also understanding that it's going to take some time, and we're going to have to make some progress in each of these categories one at a time and shift our focus and prioritize. But each of these things has to be addressed if we're going to expect you to begin feeling better and manage this for the rest of your life.